YouTube, what is going on? And thank you for checking out another video of mine as I continue to pump out content. I know I said I was going to have my Sonic video today. It's actually going to be sometime this week. I'm still working on the just voice recording right now. I'm literally just finishing up the final touches. But it's a big video, so I want to make sure I give it the time it deserves, and I don't want to rush it out. But I do have a cool video planned, and this is a video that nobody's talking about. I mean, there are some people talking about it, but you would think that now that we're in 2023, this would start to become a bigger thing. But basically, the topic of this video is Summer Games Fest versus E3. Jeff Keighley versus, E3. He used to be a part of E3. Keep that in mind. He used to produce the shows, but then he left in 2020, started the Summer Games Fest, and he hasn't looked back. But now E3 is confirmed to be back. E3 is going to happen this year, and it's not only going to happen this year, it's going to happen in person, and they're actually doing it in a smart way. So the first 2 days of E3 will be dedicated to the press, dedicated to the developers, and basically the credentialed people who are reviewing games and covering the industry. And then the next 2 days open to the public. Developers will be there, content creators will be there. Obviously there's going to be some cool announcements and stuff. You can play the games there, like demos and stuff like that. Basically everything you would expect out of an E3. So it's a 4-day thing, right? I believe it's June 13th through the 16th. So that's, like I said, for the industry. That's for the the credentialed people. But it's interesting because nobody's talking about E3 versus Summer Games Fest. The one thing I want to mention before I get into these articles is E3 was a massive showcase, and then it started to die off a little bit. 2019, I think it was 2018, Sony left. 2019, I think Nintendo was doing directs at that point. And then E3 was already on the brink, and then 2020 it basically collapsed. 2021, I think they had a couple of remote E3s, and then 2022 they just didn't do anything. So people thought E3 was dead in the water. Even Jason Schreier said that E3 is all but dead, and then now it's revived and it's coming back. 2023 E3 is here, and Summer Games Fest is happening in 2023. So let's talk about this article. I got two of them here for you. Summer Games Fest is back again in 2023 with its first ever in-person kickoff show June 8th. And now you'll know that Summer Games Fest typically is digital, but Jeff Keighley has shifted towards a physical show as well this year because, he knows there's competition, which just so happens to be a few days before E3's big return. For the past 3 years, Summer Games Fest has served as the gaming industry's big June blowout, while E3 has been in flux due to the pandemic. E3 hasn't happened to have a big in-person event for quite a while. It was canceled in 2020, like I said. I held a series of remote events in 2021, and then 2022 it was AFK. In its place, Summer Games Fest has become one of the biggest virtual events of June and just the June gaming season. In 2021, it was the first time we saw the trailer for Elden Ring. This year, both are going head-to-head in-person components in the LA area, setting up for a huge gaming news June season. Now, I want people to appreciate this because, there was a quote from a show that I love, The Office, where Andy Bernard says, "I wish there was a way to tell that you were in the good old days before you've actually left them." Now, I oftentimes, lean on my nostalgia. I'm a very nostalgic person. I'm always thinking about the past. But this is one of those situations where I think this June, we are going to be in the good old days because this can't happen forever. Right? The idea that we can have a Summer Games Fest and an E3, I don't think that can happen forever. I think it has to be one or the other unless Jeff Keighley decides to partner with E3 and then Summer Games Fest basically includes E3 as the main event, but there's a bunch of other, assorted dates inside it, which, that is possible. I doubt Jeff Keighley would want to do that, but, maybe, right? He would still have a hand in producing it also, maybe, right? That's what I would do if I was Jeff Keighley. If I do end up losing to E3, I would just partner with them. Be like, listen, why don't we just put our events together? Summer Games Fest will start in June 6th, and, we'll have a bunch of assorted events. Nintendo can have a direct, and Sony can have a State of Play. Microsoft can have a developer direct, and then we have a big E3 blowout showcase at the end of it all, But that's whatever. Point is, I don't think these two things can last forever competing against each other. So one has to win and one has to lose. This June, this could be a one and done. This, what if this year E3 wins, Summer Games Fest is done, we don't see it ever again, or vice versa. We have to appreciate the moment that we're in, because we're about to see, and it says in this article, this could be the biggest gaming news June season, and it could be the biggest ever. Like, we could see think about what's on the docket. So Nintendo has yet to reveal their next gen console. That could happen at E3. Microsoft has games like Avowed, Hellblade 2, which seems like it's around the corner, Starfield, Forza Motorsport. Sony has Spider-Man coming out this year. Sony has, multiplayer for like The Last of Us and stuff, and Lord knows what else they're cooking up. I mean, and then obviously, there's a bunch of games coming out in 2023. The point is, this could be a legendary summer for, games and the gaming industry as a whole, and I think we should take a second to appreciate that. Because, like I said, you never know when you're going to leave the good old days, or you never know when you're in the good old days until you actually left them. But so E3 will. So just to go back to this article though, the Summer Games Fest will start. I believe it's June 6th. I'm looking for the date in this article. E3 is June 13th through the 16th, with dedicated days for both the gaming industry and the general consumers. There was an industry-only Play Days component to Summer Games Fest this year. It's unclear if it'll be back in 2023. I don't know if they'll do that. I mean, maybe we'll see. But yeah, Summer Games Fest is June 8th, and E3 is June 13th. So basically a week apart. This is going to be the clash of the titans here. Now, look, I love Jeff Keighley. I do. I think Jeff Keighley, the Game Awards is something this industry really needed. We needed to have a time to celebrate games. Although I will say, I think the Game Awards has been hijacked by, reveals rather than the celebration of games. And I really think he should look into that, because I love the idea that you reveal some stuff at the Game Awards, of course. A lot of people tune in for that. But, I also want to take time to appreciate and celebrate the games that deserve to be awarded. So, I don't know. There's a balance there. But the point is, the Game Awards is it's a really amazing thing. And Jeff Keighley, I appreciate that. However, E3 is E3. And I got to be honest with you, the Summer Games Showcase, it's kind of hit or miss. I think at the prime of E3, it was always must-see no matter what. Now, maybe that's just attributing to the gaming industry being in a better place. Nowadays, every game either has to be like God of War or The Last of Us, or it has to be like Fortnite, and there's no in-between, which really sucks. That's why a game like Hi-Fi Rush that Microsoft just released is really awesome. And I may do a review on that game because I'm still not done with it. But the point is, E3 is E3. And it usually has the massive reveals. And don't get me wrong, Summer Games Fest did have Elden Ring and a bunch of cool announcements, like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was revealed there too. But it's hard for me to root for Jeff Keighley's thing, because I feel like he was talking about this digital only. He was like, oh man, this is gonna be digital only, we're not really looking or even thinking about the physical component of it, and he was saying those things in 2022 when they announced E3 was coming back. Now he's talking about doing in-person stuff because he realizes it's a competition. And so I love Jeff Keighley, and I am rooting for good announcements and stuff. But I do miss the days when it's like, hey, what do you got for E3? Like, yo, you hype for E3? Can't wait to fly out for E3. It's like Comic-Con, It's such a legendary thing. I'm always going to be rooting for it, because I just think of all the good memories I have of E3, seeing some of the biggest game releases in the industry's history at E3, and it's just something that, it's hard to replace that. And even though E3 had a huge, letdown for the last couple of years, it's hard to root against E3. This was the tweet that Jason Schreier had in 2022. This was January 6th of last year. So it's January 29th of 2023. So basically a full year ago. He said, sounds like E3 is all but dead. Can someone else come up with an excuse to go to LA in June? And then, sorry, I keep opening the tweet. By the way, 100% believe Futurish is reporting that the ESA gave up on E3 months ago. There would otherwise have been dates on their website over the PR fluff piece that hit today. No way this was a knee-jerk reaction to E3 is throwing in the towel, yada, yada, yada. basically he's saying E3 is dead, and this was wrong. This was not true. E3 was dead in 2022, but it's back, and it has some new people behind the scenes, and so we'll see. Look, I do think that no matter what happens, gamers are the ultimate winners. Like it's going to be interesting to see if Sony, they've been very very difficult, in terms of they're just inflexible. They do things their way and they do not bend on that. They haven't done a showcase in over 500 days. By the way, they haven't done a state of play in over 500 days, and they just, I don't know, they're kind of selfish. Like they want to do things their way, and it's their way or their highway. Nintendo's like that too with their direct. But the thing is like, E3 I think is kind of it's an industry wide thing, and I think that it would be awesome if Jeff Keighley can get either Nintendo or Sony to show up. And look, I have this on the website too because I actually wanted to show this too now that I mentioned that. So technically Sony did show up at E3 at Summer Games Fest last year, but it wasn't in the way that like we expect. Like it wasn't a big like first party game from Sony. It's just partnerships. Like Modern Warfare 2, technically Sony had the marketing rights, so yeah, technically you can throw their name on this list. But so these are the partners from last year. Like these are big names: Take-Two Interactive, Activision Blizzard, Bandai Namco, EA, Epic Games and Steam, Microsoft, Xbox, PlayStation, Sega, Square Enix. I mean, these are some of the biggest names in the gaming industry, period. So it's going to be a fight for these names. I guarantee you this list will not look like this when this number says 2023. I guarantee you. Now, Microsoft is all but confirmed that they're going to do E3 this year. I got to pull up the article here, but Xbox, Phil Spencer had an interview where he was basically saying that, you can look forward to a big, huge showcase in so here's the article, IGN right here. So yeah, basically Phil Spencer says Xbox showcase planned around E3 but stopped short of confirmation. And listen, Phil Spencer Xbox, just to give you some insight here. Microsoft cares deeply about E3. I believe they're actually on the board for E3. If I'm not mistaken, they have some type of hand in it. But the reason they care so much about E3 is because when the original Xbox was made, that was one of their big circles on the calendar. It's like, we need to make sure E3 goes well because you can't fool the developers, you can't fool the gamers. And so they really, really tried their hardest to like establish themselves in E3, and they made a name for themselves in E3. And like I said, that history matters. So Microsoft will be returning around the E3 time. Now, the problem with this statement is that, so he did say around E3. He did say around that. But, he said, like, here's the quote. Well, we'll pick a time for our showcase specifically so that we're there, he said. E3 is just, to me, one of the sentimental moments of gaming. I love the history of going down to LA, thousands of people there, getting to see great new things, getting to see people in the industry, fans, the events we've had. I definitely want that to continue. So it basically sounds like he's going to be at E3, whether it's a developer direct that is coinciding with E3, I don't know. But this is the thing, like the Summer Games Fest is also around E3 time because it's a week before. So like what, is he going to split some of his, okay, we'll show Hellblade 2 at Summer Games Fest and we'll also do this at E3. I feel like that's a little bit much to handle. I think one show, this is why I'm saying like one showcase can happen, right? Because definitely the industry has to pick one, E3 or Summer Games Fest, and I don't know, I can't wait to see how this unfolds. I'm surprised nobody else is talking about this. Like we're basically in February, right? We're about to be in February this week, and nobody's talking about it. And look, I know it's February, you could say yeah, but that's in June. Listen, January is already over. Like 2023, I feel like it just started, and January's already over. Like this year is going to be flying by because of all the games that are releasing. Hi-Fi Rush just released. Hogwarts Legacy's coming out soon. Jedi Survivor. Another WWE 2K wrestling game. Like there's Redfall, Spider-Man, Tears of the Kingdom. There's so many games releasing, and so time's going to start flying, and it'll start getting warmer before you know it. At least if you're like me and you're on the East Coast, but. What do you guys think of this? So, Summer Games Fest, E3. Xbox is, I guess, going to be at E3, but we'll see. What do you guys think? Which showcase are you rooting for? Do you want E3 to prevail? Do you want Summer Games Fest to prevail? Tell me why. If you want to in the comments, and we'll see how this unfolds. I can't wait. The last thing I want to say is I do think no matter what, like I said, the gamers are going to win in the end. I think that overall we have to be appreciative of the moment that we're in, because 2023, like I've said in some of my other videos, is going to be a legendary year for gaming. I can just feel it. It already kind of is, and we should really appreciate that, because it's been quite a long time since we've had this much to look forward to in the gaming industry. It makes me a bit nostalgic, and damn it, we should all be a bit nostalgic when we can, because nostalgia is there for a reason. It's there, for us to look back on. So anyway, that's the video for today. E3 versus Summer Games Fest. I can't wait to see how it all goes down. Honestly, I kind of want to travel to E3. I think I'm going to really try and make a plan to travel to E3 and enjoy this in person myself. But like I said, I'll be working on my Sonic video, and I'll get that out to you guys next or this week. And until then, I'll see you then. Thank you for checking out this video.